Back in 2019 of January, I had gotten into an injury at work, and which ultimately led to a battle of workers' comp and opiates and benzos and drugs. It was all prescription, but that was my justification for all these drugs that I was taking. And Satan has a way of getting into our lives, of allowing complacency. I was go to church, do my tithes, do my prayers. Okay, I'm a good Christian. I was living a lie. I was consumed. I was blind. I was corrupted. I was overwhelmed. But I didn't know it because I had my opiates, my benzos, I was on pain meds, and it was just, I had no idea. I got injured and I had to drag this out with workers' comp. And workers' comp, was working through, just doing what they do. I don't blame them. It's all about the money. And so in the process of that, they were giving me Band-Aids, which is how I ended up on the pills. So they wouldn't do surgeries. I had numbness in my fingers. I had 3-level herniations in my neck, and I had a bilateral radiculopathy, which I had numbness on my 3 fingers on both sides of my arms. And they were workers' comp, and the doctors wanted to give me surgery right off the bat, but workers' comp wanted to save money, and so they just, maybe he'll feel better, which is okay. That's the system. That's how it is. Did my physical therapy, the whole 9 yards. Led to surgery in September of 2019. Then, 3 weeks later, I got into a car accident. Somebody had hit us. EMS is arriving, and the guy's still wearing a neck collar. We weren't here. I just had surgery. And so then my pain management doctors had bumped up my opiates. Then I was on Dilaudid, 6 milligrams of Dilaudid 4 times a day. And I was taking Valium, 5 milligrams of Valium, 3 times a day. And I was still getting checks from, my employer. And I still was living this lie. Yes, I was in pain, I had surgery, and those are very valid justifications. But Satan has a way of coming in and corrupting you and making you think everything is good when it's not. And I'll tell you why, because I got complacent. My kids were fed. They had a roof over their heads. I wasn't abusive. I was just going with the flow. And when you're living a life like that, it's easy to become complacent, and you forget that you have a responsibility. And I was not aware of that responsibility. I was just being selfish, and I was just living the easy way. I was taking shortcuts. So then I get a message to come to Lake Placid for a men's retreat. I resisted the whole idea, and I was okay with being in pain, I guess. Now I'm saying it now, it sounds, ignorant, but it's true. I was ignorant. I was an ignorant Christian. And I wasn't doing the right thing, what God wanted. I was doing what Kyle wanted and not what God wanted. So I resist the idea of Lake Placid. I finally say, okay, I was trying to make excuses. I say, okay. All the way up until the day, I was trying to find any excuse I can to not go to Lake Placid. But then, my wife and other people were like, just go. And the next thing you know, I'm praying, and we're talking to so many men that were there, and they had so many stories, and I realized I was not alone. Everybody has things deep down inside that they're ashamed of. And that right there, if you're ashamed of something and you blow it off, that's God's way of saying, hey, maybe you should, revisit what you're ashamed of and get it right. And so hearing everybody, all these other grown men and fathers and husbands and brothers just talk, I realized we're all human. I had met with Steve Bruner, who had a powerful testimony, and I realized that he got injured, this tough guy, and he conquered, man. I was having this pity party over I got plates in my neck. It's not really that big of a deal. It really isn't. At the time, it felt like it was. I was having this huge pity party. But hearing Steve's story, I realized, you know what? God was just, it was just another challenge. And I now, after hearing his testimony, I got down and prayed. And after, everybody walked out, God was like, boom, get there. I had to. So I went and talked to him, and we sat there and we prayed, and it was unlike any other time I've ever given myself to Jesus Christ. I've done it as a kid, and I've said it as a Christian, but it wasn't really there. This time, oh man, it was, I'm goosebumps. This time, my eyes just opened for the first time. I became this, I had no idea what I was missing. And I knew I was already, by the time I had gotten to this point, I was already in the process. I was preparing. James Groves made a remark at this retreat that still sticks to me like this day, and he doesn't even realize it. He said that he felt that he was a condemner, not a teacher. And those words that he said had such an impact to me. And I was like, oh my gosh. I've been a condemner with my children. I've been punishing them. I've been saying, okay, go to your room. You do something bad, go to your room. Or you do something bad, I take this away. I didn't do any teaching. I was just, you did something wrong, this is a consequence. When I got reawakened, it was a rebirth when I gave myself to God. When I see my children now, back then they were offspring, okay? They were fed, they had roof. Now, I look at them completely different. I look at my kids and my wife. They're the future. I'm responsible for this household. And this is the vision that God gave me. God gave me this vision that I am a father, I am a leader, and I'm a teacher. I got lost, okay, but God's been there the whole time. And he keeps, he makes sure he keeps me in line because he's got big plans. And I know the vision that God has for me, that the children are the future. I have to be a leader, lead by example. So in order if I do the right things every day, follow God's will, everything falls into place. And all this started 3 months ago when we had our men's retreat. I left a little bit early that day because I knew I needed to grab my family and just pray. And that's what I did. I drove home that day from the retreat. I went home, I grabbed my family, and we cried and we prayed. And I told my family, and I prayed over my past transgressions and my family, curses. So I prayed for my family and, my generational curses. I, rebuked them. Done. My daughter, I don't know a lot of people who know her, but she's on the spectrum for autism. And she has a hard time managing her emotions. And it's funny. It's not funny. It's really a miracle. I'm a walking blessing because I had no idea that if by making good choices and leading by example and doing what God wants, my wife no longer started cursing. My wife no longer raises her voice at the kids anymore. The kids do what they're told for the most part on the first time, and they show honor and respect. And they care for each other. They used to always, kids are kids, but they used to just, everything was gimme, 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 mine. Everything. And now it's, my oldest daughter she shares with her brothers, and now they're sharing, and it's just, God has really blessed my children, and he's blessed me. And every day I breathe, I have to thank God for that breath. I made bad choices, but you know what? I ask for forgiveness. Those things that I did that's the past. That's what's awesome about being a Christian. No matter what I've done and how I felt about that, I'm not the one to judge that. That's God. And I gave it to God, and he said, you know what? Move forward. You can make up for all of that by doing the right thing today and onwards. And So I live every day now of trying to be the best father, the best husband, and the best man I can be. I lead by example, and I want to teach. And I try to find every moment I can with my kids as a teaching moment. If we're gonna fix this country, or fix our community, let's start small. If we're gonna fix our community, that's something achievable. We can fix our house, our community, and it all starts there. And lead by example. And that starts with God, because He's the greatest teacher of them all.